I'm replacing the crankshaft and camshaft position sensor on my '01 Durango here. This video is going to be for the crankshaft. I just finished up the camshaft. So if you're doing both like I am, you can check out that video as well. You really want to replace them in pairs because those sensors are what tells the ECU, basically the ignition and fuel timing, so that it runs right. Mine, I think it was a 1391 code, P1391, intermittent crank or cam sensor signal, which basically means sometimes it's giving the ECU a signal and sometimes it's not. The issue I was having was after the truck would get warmed up, it would start kicking and bucking like crazy. There's a couple other things that could cause that I want to make you guys aware of in case you're trying to track this down like I am as well. First thing being the sensors, obviously, but the wires that run from that into the wiring loom, they can go bad and also be causing that intermittent signal and that code. They actually sell wire kits for you to strip those and replace if that's the issue. And the one other thing I found was the timing chain, which we're all going to pray and hope it's not the timing chain, but if the timing chain gets loose or if it skips a tooth, it can also cause that issue because one, if not both of these it has something to do with the timing chain, and if the timing chain's out of whack, then the sensor's not going to pick up the right read, and then it's not going to run right. So those are the three possibilities. I'm replacing with a genuine Mopar. I usually don't go cheap on the electrical stuff. I've done that before, learned my lesson with alternators and sensors and mass airflow sensors, and you buy the cheap ones and they might last 6 months and you got to replace it all over again. So it's better just to buy the good stuff from the beginning, and there's nothing better really for the truck other than the Mopar parts. But if you're not getting Mopar, then get a good brand like Moog or something like that. You don't want to go cheap on the sensors. So that's what I'm doing. I'm replacing with Mopar parts. This one is the crank, of course. There's your part number for that. And this is the bag off the cam sensor we just did, so there's the part number on that. Surprisingly, I actually found these on Amazon for a decent price. When I bought them, there was only a few left, so if you guys can't find them on there, also is about the same price on Rock Auto. Obviously, it'll take longer to get to your house from Rock Auto than Amazon, but other than that, you might have to give the dealer a call, or some parts stores might carry Mopar parts. But anyways, we'll get into it here. I'm rambling on. So before I get any further, also, if this doesn't solve my problem, which I'm hoping it is, like I said, the sensors, this truck has 190,000 miles on it, so the sensors are definitely well beyond their prime, so it's due for them to be replaced anyways. So I'm hoping it's just the sensors, but it could be the two other things mentioned. If it is, we'll definitely see more repair videos because I'm going to have to fix it. If not, that'll be it. So there will definitely be an update if this doesn't fix my problem. But disconnect the battery, especially since you're replacing sensors, because you want the ECU to relearn the new sensors, because you don't want it thinking it still has the old sensors in there and you got brand new stuff, or it still might not run right. So you disconnect the battery to reset the ECU. When you rehook it, it basically starts over fresh, and it'll be learning with the brand new sensors. So I still have all this stuff out from doing the cam sensor, which real quick is right here. You can get to it from the bottom, but you can also just pull the airbox out and it's right there. Now my crank sensor is down here, and you can get to it through the wheel well here. That's it right there. So I've seen a lot of people that take their wheel off so they have more room, which you can do, but I'm not going to because I have no problem getting my hand back in here. So that's it right there on the side of the block. So you're going to have what should be a little 10mm bolt there holding it on. Now I'm going to leave it plugged in. It'll be easier for me to unplug it after I pull it out. So I'm going to unbolt it first, and we'll pull it back to where I can get to it easier and unplug it and put the new one in. Now you can see that bolt's pretty crappy. My cam sensor one was fine, but that's so rusty and nasty. I'm going to hit that with PB Blaster, and you should do the same. I'm going to hit it a few times over the next 20 minutes and let it soak real good. That way I don't have any problem with that coming out and I don't round it off. Or then you're going to have to drill it out. Or, yeah, because just, yeah. Spray that thing down real good so you can get it out of there. Alright, that is a 1/2 inch, by the way. I thought it would be a 10 because that's what the camshaft was, but the crank is a 1/2 inch, at least on my truck. Alright, I'm under the passenger side here. That's the front tire. Just wanted to show, if I can, just like the camshaft sensor, it's a little easier for me to get to it from the bottom, so I'm going to be cranking on it from down here to get that bolt out. I suppose if you take your wheel off you'd have more room like I had mentioned, but I'm going to get it from down here. Alright, so mine is very, very tight. I felt like it was going to break in half, so I sprayed it again, but I actually am going to take my wheel off. That way I can get in there with my impact gun. You'll hopefully get that thing off without breaking it. Because it's so tight right now, it's going to break if I keep pulling on it with my ratchet. So it'll have time to set a little longer. I just sprayed it again. Probably the 5th time I sprayed the thing. I'm going to get this wheel off of here and then get in there with my impact gun and hopefully break it free without breaking it off in the block. Also, you're going to want to make sure you use a, this thing with focus, a 6-point socket like that. Not a 12-point, because 12-point is way more likely to round the head of that thing off. But I don't even have that issue. What I have is just about to snap the bolt in half, because I got Irwin bolt extractors to get it out if I did round the head off. But that's not my problem right now. Alright, it took a minute, but I got lucky and got that thing out of there. I was holding the trigger probably 15-20 seconds. I mean, that's not the most powerful one, but I think it's about 300 foot-pounds. But I got it out, so this is probably going to be tight in here. Yeah, like the cam sensor was, you just got to kind of grab it by its body and wiggle back and forth and pull back real hard at the same time to wiggle it out of there. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, I can't really you can't get your hand around it real good because these lumps on the block are in the way. And like I was discussing, you know, part of that code could be the wiring, so I definitely don't want to mess up these wires trying to yank on it and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this one if I can, which it's probably on the back side. That's going to be a nightmare. I'm going to try to get a screwdriver under the edge and see if I can pry back a little to loosen it a little bit. As long as I don't pry on the existing stuff. If I'm prying on the old sensor, I don't want to break it either. I'll never get it out, but see if I can get this thing out of there. There we go. Yeah, I got it unplugged, so there's just a tab on the back. If you push it in with your finger, it unlatches it and then you can pull it back. I mean, it's kind of difficult. I had to stick my finger on my right hand in front on this side as I squeezed the tab with this finger to help pry and pull back at the same time. So now that's out of the way, so I don't have to worry about damaging that. Regardless of how I pry on this, pull on this, to end up getting it out of there. I've been trying for an hour to get this damn thing out. I broke the metal tab off the side prying on it. I broke pieces of plastic off of it, trying to grab it with channel locks and pulling. I got my hook in there, managed to hook it on the back side somewhere and was pulling back as hard as I could. I mean, as hard as I could. I'm 210 pounds and I couldn't get it out. So then I tied a rope to the handle of this to give myself more leverage so I could stand outside the truck. I hooked it in just right, kept tension on it, hooked the rope around it, yanked on that as hard as I could. Broke my freaking tool. That's how stuck that thing is in there. I don't know how to get it out. The only option I see, I'm going to try to clamp onto the body with something which is just going to crush it to pieces. You know, that'll probably not work because it's plastic. It's just going to break. So the only option I see is to break all that shit off and try to, I don't know, drill it out, drill a hole in it and try to get a tap down in there to spin it out like a broke off bolt. And I got to be careful or I'm going to get metal shavings in it, in the block, and might have to drop the oil pan, which is gonna be a nightmare because it's full-wheel drive and all this shit's in the way. So I don't know. What a nightmare. Well, that's how you do it. I can't get mine out, so I wanted to go ahead and post this even though I didn't get it out, because I said in the cam video that I was also going to show how to take the crank out, and I did that. So even though I failed to get it out because mine is completely seized in there, I showed you the whole process. So if you can get yours out and it's not seized up like mine, then you put the new one in, put your bolt back in, put your air box back on if you had it off doing the cam like I did. But if you're just doing the crank, then you wouldn't have that off. Throw it back in, bolt it back down, hook your battery back up, you're good to go. So I can't get mine out, but I showed the whole process. So you guys can call me stupid all you want for going ahead and posting this even though I didn't get it out, but I wanted to post it because I said in the cam video I would show how to do the crank, and I did. So anyways, it runs fine now. I drove it around for about 20 minutes twice, ran the crap out of it, drove it normal, and no more spitting and sputtering, kicking and bucking. So it seems for me it was just a cam sensor. I went ahead and, like I said, I plugged that crank sensor back in before I busted it up anymore. So I was still able to plug it in. So luckily for me, it seems like it was just a cam sensor. But if it starts acting up again, I know I got to get that crank sensor out of there. Also, with nearly 200,000 miles, I really need to get it out of there and replace it. But I'm done messing with it for the day. So if it starts acting up again, I'll have to drill that out and get the new one in there. But I'm calling it quits for the day. But that's how you do it.